Hello and welcome to the Third Space Podcast, episode number 34, entitled Wormhole Punishments. It's a weird title this time. I'm Bennett, and in this episode, Daniel and I start off talking about some minutiae like sleep schedules and video game emulation, but then we launch into two main topics for this podcast. The first of those is my upcoming move. I'm moving across the country, and so we talk about that, whether it's an adventure, my packing process, how stressful it is or how unstressful it is for either me or people in general. And then we launch into a Mind Your Morals segment. And it's been a while since we did Mind Your Morals, but in that segment, I present a moral situation or a hypothetical situation, and we have Daniel analyze the morality of it. This one has to do with capital punishment. So a lot of people have strong feelings on that topic as it currently is. So we get a little bit of Daniel's view on capital punishment, normal capital punishment, and then we examine the hypothetical situation of how we might use a one-way wormhole that opens up as an alternative to capital punishment. And there are a few different twists on that scenario that I present to him. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I hope you'll find it interesting as well. So that's the episode this time. I hope you enjoy.
It's a podcast.
The Third Space Podcast.
Yes.
All right. I jumped right in on that one.
I like it. It had a good give and take, It was direct. It didn't leave you guessing too much. It wasn't particularly witty, but why does everything need wit, Why? Why can't it just be pragmatic and informational?
And that's exactly what it was, my friend.
Yes.
We nailed it. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this time on the Third Space Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm slightly underslept.
Okay.
I've noticed that's a pattern in my life, and recurring more like. Here's the deal. I wake up at 5:45, so it's almost like getting a good night's sleep starts to become unrealistic if you want. If I'm getting home from work on average at 4:45 or so, and it's just if you map out the day, I come home and kind of process for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I do a half-hour workout, but that really ends up taking 45 minutes before you and then I shower or go on a walk or eat dinner or whatever. Once I get these things that are sort of my routine that I think are healthy out of the way, just some time to I crave time that's a little bit unstructured, I suppose, or that I'm not following some routine, that I'm just being. I want to veg out. I want to watch some goofy YouTube videos, guilty pleasures. I don't want to do you know that desire just to do what you want to do, I guess. And so it's like I can't fit it all. If I want some of that time, then I give up on sleep. And it's easy to pay it, it's easy to stay up and it's hard to wake up. So it's really one of these selfish moments of it's easy to stay up an extra hour. It's not even, I feel kind of tired, but not really tired. It's in the morning that I'm paying. So it's my future self that pays. And so I'm bad about acknowledging I should just go to bed. And besides, I'd have to be getting into bed and falling asleep by 9:30, and that's just not really realistic. And so anyway.
Yeah, it's gotta suck having to get up that early. Ugh.
I mean, I could, if I wanted. What I found though, if I sleep I could sleep as late as 7 o'clock to get to work by 7:30, 7:45. Because I live very close by. I've arranged it that way.
Well, that sounds a little bit more doable, right? You can sleep until 7.
It is, but what I'm finding is if I do that, and I have done that, it is a rushed week or day, or it's a bad way to start the day. It's like I'm in this sort of
What time do you have to be at school?
I have to be there, I think contractually 7:45.
Okay, contractually, then 7:45.
Yeah.
It is. So yeah, I mean, a 45-minute get ready is a little rushed, but I mean, I'm sure you've thought about all of this, but I mean, you can cram some breakfast on the way or even after you get there, and I don't know. My values are such that sleep is so important. I don't know, I would that terrible feeling in the morning when you're underslept, which I know you're familiar with, that's just so bad to me that I would accept a rushed morning that's a little uncomfortable in order to get away from that underslept feeling.
What's interesting is because I take the pre-workout stuff, it wakes me up, and so at 5:45 I can take the pre-workout and get my workout in, and so weirdly about 20 minutes after waking up, the horrible feeling is gone. If I wake up at 7, don't have time to work out, I'm not going to take the pre-workout, and then not having it, I'm kind of entering into my day having then it takes sort of this slow hour and a half wake up for me, which is strange, and I think it's probably unfamiliar to you because you're very regimented, right? Like you're a well slept person.
Oh yeah. I go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up without an alarm. I have an alarm on just in case, but I wake up naturally right at 8 a.m.
And so when you wake up, you probably go, oh, it's time to wake up, and that's not necessarily a pleasant feeling. But then you're awake. I mean, it's a moment.
I'm not grumpy when I wake up. Like I don't go, oh, morning. I never have that experience anymore. I go,
and I've never not had that experience. So I don't know, what you're saying. You would laugh because I'm a little suspicious of you. I believe what you're saying, but I'm like, is he really just?
Dude, I get 9.5 hours of sleep every night. So
I just don't understand what's happening. You're opening your eyes and you're just alert and crisp and fresh and ready to take on the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Man, that sounds so awesome. Yeah. I hate you.
Okay. It's really nice. I just wake up and then, take a shower and get ready. Doesn't take long. And it's good to go. But
anyway,
I have the luxury of not having to wake up super early, so that's why. If I had to wake up super early, then I would be more on your page because it's hard to make yourself go to sleep at 9 p.m. or something, I just don't feel like I should be asleep at 9 p.m. There's still, I don't know, some of the world is still awake at 9 p.m.
A lot of and it's a good time to me to watch an extra episode of American Horror Story or whatever, 9 to 10, and then 10 I'm starting to wind down and piddle. I just piddle a little bit too much, playing a little game on my phone. I play Clash Royale and I really like it, and that can take 30 minutes in the snap of your finger. It's just a good, almost a time waster. And there's enjoyment, there's legitimate enjoyment from it, but it's distracting too. So
yeah. You haven't been emulating your emulators on your emulator machine?
Well, I actually, because I've been playing my emulator machine, retro gaming pocket handheld thing, and I'm gonna save it I'm gonna save building my library and the sort of the learning process that goes into that. I'm gonna save for a little while because I already had it gives you 1,500 games, and there's some wonky weird stuff There were 2 copies of Super Mario World, so I started playing it. The first, or the second copy, going, oh, what's the difference? It looks exactly the same. It's playing very similar. And then I noticed I ran into a bad guy and didn't die, a Koopa Goomba or whatever.
Which one?
And then a Goomba.
Okay.
Koopa Troopa. Koomba Trooper.
Koopa Troopa. Those are the turtles. Koopas are the turtles. Goombas are the mushroom-looking things.
So the mushroom-looking thing in level 1 or 2 and 3 or whatever.
Okay.
And then I noticed I pressed jump in midair and I jumped again and I kept pressing jump and I kept jumping, and so it's this weird copy of the game that everything is identical except for 2 things. You can jump infinitely, I guess. So from wherever you're at in your jump, you can press jump and it leaps again, and you cannot get hit by an enemy.
What?
And yeah, or you can't die. Even though you can hit enemies, you can spin your cape. Oh, and if you're Yoshi, you still lose Yoshi. But it's the only thing in the game. So to wait, and what was interesting is I was on an airplane, and I wanted to just play a game and relax and fall asleep to it, kind of thing. But games inherently have challenge and are a little bit stressful. I guess there's there's varying degrees of what's relaxing and what's not.
Well, you should get a PlayStation.
And do one of these walkthrough, just press circle at certain But I was just walking my way through the game and figuring out what can you do with this newfound ability. You can get all the keys early on before you're supposed to, things like that. Anyway, so my big point is that I'm gonna just explore some of the weird stuff already loaded on there before I go building a library, and it's gonna take time anyway. So Maybe it'll be the summer, maybe it'll be whatever. But it'll be something I want to dive into and like start being intentional about what retro games I have and want to play, and it'll be fun.
I was just wondering why you were playing Clash Royale in your piddling time instead of piddling with that. It seems like perfect for piddling. A pocket play thing
piddling.
that you can piddle on, potentially piddle on perpetually.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's going to be my device I take with me on trips, and just occasionally wherever. But Clash Royale, like, I don't know, I'm addicted to it, and it's fun. And I actually look forward to like different strategies and trying different things. I even started a new account just to
level
beat
up.
the noobs.
Oh
yeah,
man,
just to level up.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah. Learn something about you today.
All of this is boring, by the way. Like sleep and like, this is bad air. I think we could just start it all over if we wanted. But we could just clap and then you'll know to go there and start the podcast.
It's not bad. It's not that bad. Well, what do you got? What's more interesting? Lay it on me.
I'm interested that you are moving, and this is the last podcast before you like move to a different, like completely move. I'm just curious, like they say moving I think if you were to rank stresses, it's like divorce, public speaking, spiders, and moving. I hear those kind of thrown around, and as if it's one of the most, I guess it's weird to equate like stress and awfulness, like worst things people fear most. Those are the two interchangeable lists. Have you heard these things before? Spiders, public speaking, death, and moving?
I mean, I've heard of those things, yeah, but on the same list.
As what people are scared of or scared to do or that induce a lot of stress.
Yeah, it seems like two lists got accidentally combined. Like I wouldn't put death and moving on the same list, Like
right.
To be afraid of death seems reasonable. To be stressed about death, I don't know. To be afraid of moving, I don't really get, but to be stressed about moving, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think that the list is intentionally, and it's probably some pseudoscientific BS thing, but it's like people fear public speaking more than death, and that's like a jarring thing and a memorable thing to hear. That's probably why I remember it to this day.
Yeah, that makes sense because death is probably a long way away, whereas if someone's scared of public speaking, it probably means they're about to have to do it.
Yeah. And humiliation is we are like driven to avoid humiliation. We do not want to be humiliated. And that means different things to different people, but I think we're all fragile souls for the most part. And like, you're on the cusp of humiliation when public speaking, particularly if you're not talented at it or confident with it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that one doesn't bother me. Well, and so I assume your question is, am I stressed about moving?
Yeah. Where does this rank? Are you death or, moving?
Pretty low. Pretty low. I'm not stressed about moving. I kind of actually enjoy it. I mean, well, one thing I'll lay out up front is that moving is pretty easy for me. Like, I'm a single guy. I don't have a ton of junk. I don't have an overabundance of stuff that I have to move. And this is a voluntary move that's kind of adventurous for me. So, it's not like I'm being forced into it. It's not like there's financial hardship involved. And like I've had ample amount of time to plan the move and everything. So it's about as low stress of a move as you can manage.
I think you just outlined why it's stressful for people. It's often not because they want to. It might be like a downgrade in lifestyle. Something's gone wrong, or a tragedy has befallen. And anyway, you're moving for all the right reasons, and you have, I guess, the only easier move is like the college kid leaving the nest from home to college. They just kind of go and get a little mini fridge or whatever. I don't know. But
when you don't
aside
have,
from that,
when you don't have like a home to start with, like if you're a college kid, obviously you live with your parents, but you can leave all your stuff there and just go, and so it's not hard.
Right, you
That's
move into a
an easy
dorm
move.
that has some beds already or whatever. So
Right.
you're literally, other than that, which is almost like a pseudo move, I almost wouldn't count it in that. I mean, it is a big deal. It's arguably one of the biggest moves as well, because
Sure, sure. Yeah.
going from not home or from living at home to not living at home is a big deal. But you're as simple as can be, and it's as clean as can be. So
Yeah,
yeah, you've done this a couple times. What have you learned from your previous moves, and what are you doing differently?
So all of I've had a few big moves. My first big move was across the country, and for that one, I I kind of did it myself. I got a like a U-Haul truck and had my parents help me load it all up and drive it across the country, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of work.
Is it the cheapest way to do it, I guess? If
Yeah.
you're like really penny pinching, that's the cheapest way. Just get a U-Haul. Like
Well, I mean, if you're
they
really
charge by the mile and stuff, don't they?
yeah, if you're really penny pinching, then you sell your stuff and and then get replacement stuff, cheap replacement stuff when you arrive.
Downgrade. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you'd have to crunch the numbers and see if that's really cheaper. Maybe if the stuff is expensive, then it wouldn't be. But anyway, yeah, one of the cheapest options is to just pack it all up in a truck or a trailer and go. And I've done that before. And then another one of my big moves, I was at the time my company paid for that move, and so for that one I had movers. They came in a big 18-wheeler and came in and put all of my stuff.
Took
in
all your
boxes.
stuff.
Yeah, they took it all and put it in boxes and put it on the truck and sent it away. And then when I got to where I was moving to, they brought the truck again a day late and then unpacked all the boxes and brought them inside, and it was easy. I mean, that was super easy. It was also more expensive than doing it myself. Not for me.
When they
but for
pack
my
your
company.
stuff, do they grab your plates and silverware, or are you
Yeah,
talking
man.
about you
Everything.
did that kind of? Okay.
No, they you just open all the cabinets and drawers and stuff, and they do it. They have packing paper and all kinds of stuff, and they just and do it all really fast. And they were great, actually. They did a good job, except for they were day late. Like I said, day late delivering it, which I had to sleep on the floor, and that wasn't pleasant. But
Yikes, yeah.
but yeah, it's really nice to have them do all of that packing and stuff. I mean, it could go wrong, right? If the people suck and they break your stuff, or they lose something or whatever. But
Right.
The folks I had were really good, did a good job. This time I'm not doing that because I got estimates on it and it was really expensive. I'm moving across the country again, and so it's a long way, and so I didn't want to pay that much for it. So this time I'm doing something I haven't done before. I'm getting those like shipping containers delivered, and I'm filling them up myself, and then they will ship the containers to where I'm going, and then I'll unpack it myself there. So
how long do you have those containers for? Like, do they put it in a parking spot? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, they put it in a parking spot, and for 3 days, not counting weekends. And you load them up, and you call them when they're all loaded, and they come get them and ship them off. And it takes like 8 to 10 days for them to arrive where you're going. I guess it depends on the distance, but for me, it's like 8 to 10 days. And you can optionally store them in a storage facility for it was like $300 or it's like $150 per container per month, which is actually not that expensive. So you can, if it takes you a long time to move, you can just store them. So it's real.
Yeah.
It's cost wise, it's only a little bit more than it would have been for me to rent a big truck and drive it there. And driving across country would have been a huge hassle for me this time because I don't have, my family wouldn't be helping me. So it would be just me, and I would have this it wouldn't be mega, but it would be a significantly sized U-Haul truck filled with stuff. And I have a car, so I would have to get a trailer and put my car on there, and I'm driving like across the Rocky Mountains in November. Like that would just not be a recipe for survival. That would be a recipe for death. Which I'm healthily afraid of and not willing to undergo. So, so yeah, that's go ahead. Yeah.
Like, how much have you packed? Are you sitting here in a half-empty home
Oh man,
right now?
you know me. I'm planning stuff so far in advance. I've got pretty much everything packed already. I've got like 5 or 6 days left, or 5 days left before I leave, and pretty much everything of mine is already packed. I've been scoping out boxes from grocery stores for a month and a half. I found a big box.
Like you see some banana boxes, and you're like, "Can I have those banana boxes and those liquor boxes, please?"
Yeah, I went to the grocery store and asked them, "Do you have any boxes, produce boxes?" And the banana boxes are the worst ones, by the way. Or
Okay.
Maybe not the worst, but close to it because they have a hole in the top and in the bottom.
Yeah.
So you have to like put some paper or another piece of cardboard or something in the bottom. But they're sufficient. They're
Don't know why my mind went to banana boxes. Have no idea, but that's what it did.
I probably mentioned it to you before.
Must have gotten planted in there somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, I have like 20 banana boxes, and I did manage to get some apple boxes, which are the best. And so yeah. Anyway, I've been packing everything up. Pretty much everything packed up, labeled. I've got a list with everything that I've got packed up and where it is. I'm like ready to go. Got all my bookshelves unbookshelved and dusted. I found I serendipitously found a TV box that's the exact right size for my TV that someone had just taken out to like the recycling bin thing in my apartment.
Wow. Yeah.
They just dropped it, and I was like, I need that. And I went and took it, and it had all the styrofoam and everything in it. So
that's so cool. That's weird.
Yeah, and so that was perfect. So yeah, I'm very close to ready to go.
So what about, I mean, you have like a few items like a bed or a couch that you just, one person is not suitable. Are you just going to like find a Mormon, or what are you, what's the plan there?
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's annoying because you like need a Mormon for an hour. Like one dude, like
Mormon,
extra pair of
1
arms.
hour.
Like.
Yeah, actually, when I moved in a previous location, I had serendipitous Mormons appear. You know, they were riding their bikes through the apartment complex, and they had their ties on. And I don't have much experience with Mormons, and they both had name tags that said Elder and then a name. And I thought that their first name was both Elder, but which was it was like Elder James and Elder Thomas or something. And I was like, Elder is a weird first name, and for both of you to have the same first name, that's strange. I didn't think about it too much, but yeah, they stopped and they were like, "Oh, are you moving? We can help you carry in your couch and your mattress." And I was like, "Okay," and so they helped me. So that was really nice. I don't think I can rely on the Mormons this time, so instead I'm hiring just some local movers for a couple hours to help me move my big stuff.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I'm satisfied by all of that, by your answers. It's weird because this is like, you're choosing a different approach, mainly because of price. The last time seemed ideal. It's paid for, and it was the most convenient. So this is a good compromise, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. And it's not, it doesn't break the bank. I mean, it's not cheap by any means, but it's, it's only a little bit more than doing it all myself in a truck. And I consider for the convenience, that's definitely worth it.
I'm excited for you. I don't know, like moves, it just necessitate change or bring about, you will have change in your life, and that's exciting. I mean, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's, especially when it's just fundamentally like because you want some change, you want some freshness, and like this is cool.
Yep. Yeah, I've already had to I'm telling everyone goodbye here. So I told the person who cuts my salmon at the grocery store, I already told her bye. And
all the big people in your life.
Yeah, the cashier at PDQ, I told them bye today. I told them I won't be coming back anymore.
This would be my. Are you going to go through any ceremonious like this is my last PDQ visit? Almost certainly, this is my last time buying salmon. Almost certainly.
I mean, it pops into my mind. Yeah, it pops into my mind when I do it. I mean, I've already had my last Monday. I had my last PDQ today. Like I said, had my last barbecue here. So, I mean, there are some things that just aren't where I'm going, and it probably.
Do you have any ritualistic or ceremonious final, like your last meal you've decided it's going to be your favorite, like local place that you won't be able to replicate, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm finishing out all of the restaurants that I really like here. There really aren't that many. There's a couple that.
Chick-fil-A,
I'll have Chick-fil-A where I'm going. I ensured that I would. I don't move anywhere without a Chick-fil-A. I made that mistake once. I moved to Wisconsin, and there was no Chick-fil-A for, it was like 2 or 2.5 hours from where I was. And so I actually made that drive a couple times to actually go get Chick-fil-A. And that was too much for me. So now I only move places with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I like it. All right, hit me with it. Hit me with something.
All right. How are your morals feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty moralistic, ready to be very moral, to moralize, to contemplate my ethics.
Okay. Well, then...
I was just thinking about the difference between ethics and morals, and I don't know, that's where my brain went just then.
No, I don't want to think about that. That sounds complicated. Okay. Instead...
All right, let's keep it simple with it, whatever you're about to say.
Let's do a spicy Mind Your Morals.
Spicy! I wish we had a little, press something that goes, I don't know, plays any sort of sound effects, and we could press sound effects frequently, just cheesy,
like some maracas.
Morning... Yeah. I would like that.
Yeah, because we have mild, medium, and spicy. But this one's spicy. Anyway,
okay.
All right. So
is it gonna make me uncomfortable? All right, let's do it.
I don't think it's gonna make you uncomfortable.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll try my best.
So there's one prerequisite that I need to establish. So first,
okay.
What is your moral stance on capital punishment? So is it moral for society to execute certain criminals? Murderers, for example.
Do I have to give a clear-cut answer on this because it's complicated how I feel?
No, you can just unravel a little bit of it. But the rest of the Mind Your Morals kind of relates to this.
Let me sort through this. I don't have any objection to the idea that some people commit crimes so heinous that they deserve death. So that can make some sort of sense to me. Whether it's an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of philosophy. And I understand the counter is an eye for an eye leaves us all blind or whatever. But
toothless.
What do you do? What do you do when someone has murdered someone or has no remorse and no longer deserves to be a member of our society? And sometimes I think it can even be humane because is it really more humane to put them in a cage forever and say yeah, now you're just in this cage? I'm not sure. There's some measure of quality of life and quantity and all of this that's difficult to measure. But where I grow really, really, really uncomfortable is I guess I would call it playing God and saying I am so confident in my moral compass or our moral compass as a society that you are allowed to say you should die. Although I theoretically believe some people deserve death, I'm certainly not going to be the one to pull the trigger. And ultimately, so I'm a little bit uncomfortable knowing that I'm fallible, government's fallible, people are fallible, and we have to proceed as a society with a government that makes mistakes, and I get all of that. But when the cost is so great, such as human life, I just get really uncomfortable at making a judgment and saying, yeah, you should die. Especially when this does, religious or not, my point is there's we are given life, and taking it away is no one's right, it seems to me. It almost seems like no one has the right to take someone's life, including the government. So I feel very conflicted, and I wish I could give you a straight answer. It's actually something I've wrestled with and gone back and forth. Some days it'll seem so clear as you know what, get over yourself. There's obviously jerk-offs out there that just need to die, and I'll just feel very it's clear, this is not that complicated, Daniel. Yes, they should kill them, kill all the jerks, and not just jerks, but
murderers.
Heinous murderers,
rapists.
Murderers essentially, and
cyclists.
Maybe cyclists, of course, yeah,
the unvaccinated.
Yeah, kill them all.
Kill 'em.
No, so it would have to be a hard line of saying I think I'm going to draw it at murder. And just say anything else gets to be. But what do you do if someone has kidnapped and tortured over years and kept them in cages and it'll be they deserve to die, or does terrible things to children? Part of me is yeah, you deserve to die anyway. But then the reality starts to hit in. Who's killing it? Who's pulling the switch or whatever? And the fact that there's an institution that has powerful enough to proclaim the right to take someone's life in a very official capacity, that's creepy. It's actually creepy to me to say we are
Yeah.
we should be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I share your. I don't think we're too far apart on this. I certainly share your concerns with being wary of giving the government the power to take someone's life, because they are incompetent at almost everything, and so of course they're going to be incompetent at that too. But then again, as a society, if you have murders, which you inevitably do, you have to do something. You can't just ignore the problem. You can't close your eyes and pretend it doesn't happen, because people will continue to get murdered. So you must act. And the question is, how do you act? And I think your point about just putting someone in a cage, locking them up, and throwing away the key, that's not really any better, right? You're still depriving someone of their life. Maybe it eases your conscience a little bit because you're not shooting them, but you're still destroying their life. So, the moral distinction isn't that great to me there.
I guess the real concentration when there's murders in society, your number one goal is to stop the murders. And so, like, we can all agree that, like, their participation in society as we know it must come to an end. I don't think that's really in debate. Right. There might be debates about can they be reformed, but as a murderer who is murdering, we will remove you from society. We will eliminate this behavior. Like that. And then what's interesting is, because we care about the people being murdered and the innocent society having damage inflicted upon them. So that's what we care about. Mm-hmm. Now that we've got the murderer out of the picture, then we get into all these debates, and it's really like, how much do they deserve of our, like, this is where the pragmatic side of me is like, these are the scum anyway, and we're going to debate ourselves blue in the face over, like, these scum. Shouldn't we be putting our energy, like, kill them all, and then let's elevate and celebrate and help, like, victims and innocent people and people who thrive in society. Let's put all our energies toward that. And so it fascinates me that we tend to put our energy toward, like, just, debating whether a scumbag murderer deserves, like, what quality of life do they deserve? It's like, I almost wish I wasn't as interested in that, because right. like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's something ironic. Like, we get so hung up on, like, that, and when like they don't deserve our brain power almost, but ethically or morally, I suppose it's interesting to abstractly debate. So
right. Yeah, I agree. It seems like there are two ends of the spectrum. Either they're at the utmost pragmatic end. It's, oh, you murdered someone, time to be killed, and you kill them quickly and efficiently, and then you don't spend any more time, effort, or money or anything on that person. And then the other end of the spectrum is, we don't want, we shouldn't have the power to kill anyone, so we are not going to do that. But we have to get you out of society, so you're going to stay in a cell forever until you die. And
what if we could radically open the door to the idea that reformation is possible, and then if somehow, and this is inconceivable to me, but like that you can guarantee there was an anti-murdering program and with 100% success rate, and once you put murderers through it, like, they are changed.
Hey,
but then,
don't
like, what if it
preempt my
Oh, am I getting
morals?
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Not exactly, but
But that's an interesting thought. Or like you shock their brain and they're no longer murdered. Like, is that okay? Electroshock therapy that like cures the murderer in you, and like now you can go work at McDonald's or whatever. You can that's weird. But would we accept that as a society that like you were a murderer? Yes, you paid your price. And
we're gonna
now safe.
We won't find out what society will accept, but we will find out what you will accept shortly after this commercial break. Not really. We don't.
But did my stance make enough sense that I waffle on it? I really do because I sit here and go, I want to be thoughtful, and I actually lean towards saying no. I'm against capital punishment. Like that's where I tend to fall.
I think our stances are pretty much identical, but you just lean a little against and I lean a little for, but I think we both have a very substantial respect for how weighty the decision is, and it's no joking matter.
Part of me wants to be absolved morally. Part of me wants to be absolved morally and go, I don't like that this is the case, but I'm kind of glad that we're just doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder how many people feel that way about whatever political position is like, I want to sound like, I want to be consistent morally and say life is precious and there's redemptive qualities in all of us, and I'm not going to play God, and neither should any institution. Full stop. Thank God we're killing the bad guys. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Like, it's internal conflict I have. So,
all right. Well, that's fine, and I anticipated your stance on capital punishment, and it's one that I mostly share. And so that leads us into the rest of the spicy mind your morals. So, given
I'm ready for a spicy one.
Given your moral positions and the difficulty that presents society, imagine this situation. Imagine that a one-way wormhole is discovered. It opens up, and it will instantly transport anyone who enters it to a random location on the surface of the Earth. And so the government, they discover
a random
this
location
wormhole,
on the surface
and
of
they
the
build
Earth?
a facility around. Yes. And the government discovers it and builds a facility around the wormhole. And so the question is it justified for the U.S. government, we'll just say, to use the wormhole as an alternative to capital punishment, such that, if a criminal commits a crime, a murder, or whatever, we will just send them through the wormhole and let randomness decide, where they're out of our hands now. They're going through the wormhole. Maybe it'll drop them in the ocean. Maybe it'll drop them in the Arctic. Maybe it'll drop them in Paris. Who knows? They're just going through the wormhole, and they're not our problem anymore. So is it justified to get them out of our society using the wormhole?
My knee-jerk is no, but let me talk through it. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, they could throw them in, and they could just theoretically pop up right next to you, right? And you just throw them in again, and they go somewhere else, right? So this is different each time, or just somewhere else in the United States or whatever, like, right?
Yeah. For now, it's just totally random on the surface of the Earth.
But like, so you're making it someone else's problem, and I think just casting your problem, either they just are like, yeah, I mean, 2/3 of the Earth is covered by water. Is that about right? 2/3.
Something like that.
That's what I've heard. So 2/3 of the time they're just gonna drown. So you're essentially murdering, and the other times you're just, I don't know. It just seems sort of a little bit like this is an interesting proposition, but it seems a little. I don't think I like this idea because you don't know where they go. You haven't solved the problem. They are just somewhere random, and now they're uncontained and free to go about. Have they paid their cost at that point? So like, if they landed in France and they went, and they dusted themselves off, they have a choice to keep murdering or develop a life in France or come back to the place where they were committing the murders. Like, you've not solved anything. At best, you've not solved anything, and at worst, or possibly best, you've just killed somebody, which has all the problems I was saying earlier. And it might even be horrible just to make them try and doggy paddle in the ocean for days until they or not days, probably hours, or even an hour. Either way, just like they might prefer a lethal injection. My point is that it just seems like a little bit lazy and doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't. It's not. The solution is not tenable to me. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not good. No, I reject it.
So compared to life imprisonment, is it better or worse?
There's not enough certainty with this situation. Like I said, like, I don't really understand. They wake up in France and they land in France, and like their debt's now paid, and they might continue murdering. So it didn't solve the problem, and it put it on France, or they just come back. So it's at least putting them in prison. I think for better or for worse is like something I can wrap my head. It's finite. Like, okay, you're gonna be in prison and presumably not escape, and that is now has defined parameters in which I can debate and think about. But this is just so like, what? They just land somewhere random and then life continues forward. I can't it's just too open-ended, I guess. Like I'm guessing you're going to put more parameters on it because it's so open-ended that I can't entertain it for too long, like, as a something that would be good or really bad. I mean, there's enough bad and wrong with it that I just have to throw it away and say no, close the doors to the portal and don't even consider it.
Fair enough. All right.
Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Like,
No, that makes total sense, and that's what.
Whereas,
largely what I expected.
And if you keep them in prison, like, maybe that's bad, but like at least they psychologically, or we can just debate it and start saying, oh, that's this bad. I don't even know how bad the portal is. It's just like kind of either dumb or really bad.
No, yeah, you laid it out. So most of the time, you're sending them through the wormhole is going to be essentially like a cheaper version of life imprisonment. They'll probably die. In all likelihood, you will have executed them, but you're not so sure. So your conscience is, it's in a limbo state. Like you don't know whether you killed them or not. They're just gone. They're not your problem anymore. So it's kind of a cheap way.
It's cowardly in that way.
Yeah, it's a cowardly way to absolve your conscience of that. And then it has the additional, what I consider to be a moral downside, that maybe they get placed in, a populated location. Maybe they get placed back in your same country. Like, maybe they're right in the room with you, like exactly like you said. It doesn't, it has the potential to make things worse, not better. Like, it has the potential to be equivalent to an escape attempt, a successful escape attempt by the prisoner. So as presented,
right?
Not the best thing. So okay, so let me put some more parameters on it, exactly like you predicted. So what if
more parameters? I'm ready. Okay.
What if the wormhole, we're guaranteed that it doesn't place them within our own country? So they're certainly not our country's problem. They're going somewhere else, not in the United States after they go through the wormhole. How does this change?
I mean, I think all the reasons we listed are it's slightly better, but not enough to seriously entertain, because I think it's just immoral to make it, someone else's problem. And if we're gonna kill them, then let's just go ahead and go all in and have the debates and figure it out morally and reconcile that we do this, and not pretend we're not killing them 2/3 of the time. So I just don't see enough changing. It just is slightly better, but not enough to. Yeah.
So what if we can choose the country that the wormhole places them?
Well, then theoretically, we could morally, like, at least our conscience or our relations with a particular country, we could say, hey, you want to make your country, like, take all of our bad guys and girls, and we have an arrangement there, and so they are prepared to deal with this, and then now we're at least in morally consistent territory where they would presumably have some long talks with us. We'd carve out some arrangements, but let's just say it landed them in wherever, Australia, and they just built a big prison system that they get dumped into. And so what, we're just asking Australia's
already a prison colony, so
yeah. That's how they were founded, right?
Yeah.
So, but like, what's the if it's just like offshore prisons at that point?
So all right, so what about, we could send all of our prisoners to Iran or Afghanistan, or some unfriendly country that's our enemy. Could send all of our bad guys there. So you were thinking. I didn't even think about it the way that you thought about it.
I see what you're saying. Just like go to our enemy territory. Yeah, you were actually thinking put them in enemy territory.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a kill two birds with one stone. In a sense, you're getting rid of the bad people from your country, and you're putting the bad people in the bad country.
Yeah.
And
and I guess you can
assess
change
the morality of that.
Okay, well, it seems short-sighted. I guess since you can change, your enemies will probably change over the course of your, over time, and so you can just change to whoever your enemy is. So that's fortunate for this situation. But like, it still seems so cowardly to just like, if we're there's part of me that's just like, if you're gonna kill these people, like, do it clear and like accept it. If but it is tempting to be able to remove the problem and say I didn't kill anyone and no longer my problem, and maybe even make some trouble for your enemies if you're sending them all your killers and stuff. But it just doesn't sit well. I'm curious of your thoughts on this. It seems like a cowardly and vague thing. Like, just send them over there and you deal with it. Like, I'm just as
well. So all right. So first, let me hold your feet to the fire a little bit. And
Okay.
a lot of your waffling about capital punishment in general is your moral qualms with the government being able to kill people, right? So
yeah.
some of these options, they address your one of your main problems with capital punishment in general. This one does as well. Your other concerns are totally valid, but to say it's cowardly now, well, like, do you want to be cowardly, or do you want to hold on to your moral high ground of not killing people? So but in terms of this specific thing, my thoughts, I don't think it's as cowardly as the previous ones. Like,
I think it's less cowardly.
We're walking down the scale of acceptability a little bit, or things are getting gradually more acceptable. Like, the first one was unacceptable. It was certainly cowardly. It was just out of sight, out of mind. And then the next one was just pretty much the same, except still put the burden on someone else. But now we put the burden on people that we would be happy to burden with bombs or undercover operations or economic sanctions. Like, we're perfectly happy to put burdens like those on other countries. So why wouldn't we also burden them with bad people? Imagine something like Afghanistan now overrun by the Taliban, and they're Islamic extremists all over the place. I mean, they're innocent, decent people too, I'm sure. But if you throw a tattooed, murdering white guy in the middle of the Afghanistan mountains or something, like, I just don't think he's going to last very
long. With a nose ring.
I just mean he's going to stand out is all.
Yeah.
But you're right. The tattoos and nose ring would, he'd be even more deserving of Taliban justice. Yeah, so I'm not saying that I'm touting this. I'm just saying I'm trying to reason through some of the moral implications of it.
I like it, and for the sake of this argument or this thought experiment, I'm going to accept that the person's irredeemable and needs to be permanently removed from society. That simplifies things a little bit in my head, because, and then if I'm comfortable saying, yeah, they have to be removed, and it's either life imprisonment, capital punishment, and you're exploring this alternative, which is like, so even though this doesn't offer them a path toward redemption, because that's just not what this is about, and we shouldn't pretend it is, at least not with these particular constraints you're giving, then we're sentencing them. It's almost just like dropping them in some wild game, like dystopian, you name any dystopian thing made in the last 10 years and it tends to be like, like Hunger Games or whatever, the survival of crazy situations in which it's all weird. And I guess that's like, they could theoretically change. I keep going back to them being redeemed. I don't know why. Maybe that's just where I'm at in my life right now. Is like, can they, like, what if they could take the option? I'd feel so much more comfortable if we like gave this. You can stay life in prison here, or you can go in the portal. And then if they were like really attracted to the portal, I'd want to know why. and I could maybe like get on board with this possibly, if they're like, hey, better than staying here kind of thing. Then like,
Right.
and now they've chosen to do the portal. Then all of a sudden you make that an option, and let's say 80% are choosing it. And we're trying to we're not pretending the portal is something else. Oh, when you go through, there's going to be beautiful women on the other side, and you have a chance at. No. We say, hey, there it is. Here's what's
Yes,
happening.
North
Here's
Korea.
the survival rate. Here's
You're getting
it's North
portaled
Korea.
straight to North Korea.
Yeah, and like this is what it looks like on the other side, and this is the feedback I don't know if you could like get feedback from the people who've been through it, probably not, but like this is just the reality. Here you go, and if they're
You
choosing it,
probably
then I
hear.
like it.
I'm sure you would hear what happens to them on the other side. So my concern with this one, I laid out why it might be worth doing, but one big reason why it would not be worth doing is because you're supplying your enemies with people who aren't, if you send someone through, they're not going to be very fond of the United States. You're sending dissidents, already through, and you're sending them to people who would probably gladly take them and radicalize them and use them against you. So you might not be destabilizing your enemy. You might be giving your enemy additional cannon fodder, So
Do you think so? They see the white tattooed angry guy who hates like
Depends.
everything, and
I
like
mean-
he accepts they accept him, and he accepts them, and they turn around and they face America or whatever. Like it just seems like an outrageous situation. You hate America, I hate America. Like let's go.
I don't think that they would be best buds necessarily. It depends on where you send them, of course. But think of some terrorist group; they would be more than happy to make use of a discontented person. They would just make use of them if
And
they
I guess
could.
the
Doesn't mean they
discontented,
have to.
if they're offered a meal and like a bed, they at least will play along for a little
Sure,
while.
right.
Yeah. Okay. I can buy it to some degree. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, okay, all right. Moving along. Forget about the forget about that for now. And so now what if when they exit the wormhole, so they go in the wormhole and it places them somewhere random, and what if it also erases their memory when they exit?
You mean once they've traveled through that wormhole, they come out the other end just no memory?
Yeah, they don't remember their previous life, what they've done or anything.
Oh my gosh. Well, now I want to know like how many of them are still murderers. I mean, a legitimate question. Or if someone commits crime, can't remember the crime they committed, like, are they how responsible are they for it, and all sorts of, and like, is this a new chance to start a new beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the same way I am against like an institution deciding someone deserves death. I'm also like isn't that a form of death? You've erased their former selves, even though they have like this functioning body and this new. Are they a new self? Like you're gonna say no, right? It's the same like disposition and thought,
Yeah.
intelligence level, and all those things. But
Yeah.
like, okay, yes, but are they a new person without any of your memories and previous experiences? Like, yeah, you might have the same IQ, mental capacity and physical capabilities, but like, without that traumatic childhood or good childhood or whatever, or all that experience to pull from. Oh man, and then how guilty are they? And like, does this please my like desire for them to be redeemed? And like, maybe they have this true opportunity to truly start over. And can we even conceptualize what that means? That's a big thought, Bennett. I don't even know what to do with that.
So all right, so yes, I will tell you that this is obviously sci-fi territory and we can't really do this, but the way I envision this is they come out the other end and they do keep their same IQ and their same personality traits, their dispositions and all of that sort of thing. We'll even say they can still remember how to speak, they know their language and everything, but
and some general knowledge that's hard. They don't have to relearn, like what a sofa is or how to take a shower, Like,
yeah. Some of that kind of stuff might stick around, but all of their experiences, all of the people they knew, and things they have done. All of that is gone. And so, your first question: are they the same person? Are they still guilty? Like, have you essentially executed the murderer? And those are all valid questions, and that's kind of what I was asking. Is so in terms of easing your conscience, like part of your gripe, again, is about actually killing the person, and do you have the power to do that? And you also brought up points about redemption, and so this could conceivably be a way to avoid killing someone and provide them an opportunity for redemption and get them out of our society as well. It still has the same potential drawback of making them someone else's problem, but they might not be a problem. They might do something good after this. I don't know. So.
That's the long-term data on that. Like, it's basically the Men in Black thing that erases memory. You just set it on full blast and it erases everything. And then, how many of them become murderers again if they were just to continue living a life? Gosh.
Well, that's a question that people, lots of people would like the answer to anyway.
The nature. It's like an answer to nature nurture almost is what I'm asking.
Right.
The big nature nurture question. So, forget the portal for a second. Yeah, it's just like if you could do that and take criminals and go, boom, all right, you are fresh now, new. Do you keep them in prison at all? Or do you just, could you theoretically have this really structured society that they then have to go over to because, you really messed up when you had a lot of freedom. Maybe it was your parents' fault, maybe whatever, but either way, you really messed up. And so now we're going to give you this start over society that's you go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at this time, and you and it's regimented and a little more policed even, and but is that okay? My objections are pretty similar to the capital punishment one of is this ethical to do? Is this okay to erase all your relationships and all it's the strongest metaphorical death that there is that I can imagine. You're born anew, which is cool, but you've death of the old self. Now you have a new self, and I'm assuming the prisoner or the guilty party here is not having a choice in this, and it's wow, erasing someone's identity completely. We're so close to the saying they are dead, except that there's something not reversible. That's not the right word, but this body with these functionalities and this brain get to continue forward. But have you erased? I guess you haven't erased the soul or whatever, but you've reset the soul, and that's strange. I don't know why that hits me so hard on this particular, I don't know. Maybe I'm just the right amount of tired, and that just hit me as is that death? Are you the same person? And then that's so fraught that when I don't know and I'm having difficulty wrapping my brain around, then I tend to back away from it and say, no, I'm not okay with this because there's just so much unknown, and it would be irresponsible to go, yeah, let's do all this stuff that I don't even fully understand. I get this is a thought experiment too. It'd be silly to fully understand it all. I get that, but you can understand why I'm saying that there are some serious areas that I can't conceptualize, to the point that even in good faith of this thought experiment, I can't say I can conceptualize it well enough. So
definitely. I'm the same way. If I don't know what the outcome will be, or if I have a lot of questions or uncertainty, then I usually don't take the risk.
But man, I'd love to see that play out, or read a good sci-fi book about that, and that makes up some data and tries and convince me of why that data would really actually bear out.
I'm sure someone has done that. I'm sure I'm not the first person to think about something like that. You already pointed out.
Erasing memories is not a new thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I probably have just forgotten stories that did that. All right, another one. And this is where it gets interesting to me. I guess it's been interesting before, but I really like this one. So what if, instead of a random place on Earth, the wormhole exits on just another habitable planet somewhere in the universe? The contents of this planet are totally unknown to us. The only thing that we know is that it's possible to survive there, and there's no existing civilization on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't erase their memory or anything. So the other ones are not in play at this point. It just places them on that other habitable planet, totally unknown to us.
So what I'm envisioning is a colony of criminals or murderers, possibly, that have, like, if they so choose, they can colonize or whatever. They can. Now I'm intrigued because I'm trying to find the objection there. Like, it's another form of, it's a freer form of imprison. Like, it's eliminating my moral gripes for the most part. They get a chance at building a new form of redemption and new meaning. I'm imagining the startup of a, criminal colony in which they have purpose now. They need to build the huts and to have the structure, although I think it could lean heavily towards sort of a Mad Max, like evil, like the brutes are the ones that control everything and it just gets crazy. But, like, is that a form of cosmic justice in which you're just and is prison kind of like that too anyway? Is Mad Max in prison not that different? Like, it's these gangs form and these groups, and they so at least this is free from keeping them in these cells and stuff. Where do I object is what I'm asking myself.
Right. So you've laid out some pretty good you've laid out some moral arguments for this. So it means you don't have to kill them. It gets them out of our society. It doesn't put the burden on anyone else on Earth anyway. And it gives them the opportunity for, redemption and further meaning. So that's a lot of positives for this. So yeah, if you had to come up with some moral objections to this, what would they be, do you think?
Again, like, well, the objection's baked into anything we do with a prisoner, and that's saying you've lost your autonomy, your right to choose, your right to live your life the way you want. And so if we're throwing them in this portal, they didn't get to choose it, and it kind of like...
So again, like, yeah, I agree, like, we share the same discomfort with, the government being able to override someone's will. But, again, like, we're in a situation, we have murderers.
But we're doing it. We've decided we're doing it.
We must do something,
my objection,
right? We agree that we have to do... There's a moral imperative that we have to handle murderers.
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing, like, I don't know, my brain's not, like, finding a giant objection to this, other than, like, you can see this pitiable circumstance where, like, some slight person is thrown in and then ravaged by this terrible society that's taken place. Like, that's the dark side. Mm-hmm. But, like, but you can also just as easily make an argument that they, like, welcome him with a packet and say, hey, here, we've decided we're doing things this way and you're going to get a chance. And if you don't screw up, good things can happen. So, like, you can make an argument for that. It seems kind of unlikely, but... and you haven't eliminated like anyone's identity or soul, and so what objections do you have to this? I think I might like it, at least in terms of it seems better than keeping them in a cage, and it seems better than killing them. So definitely of these like three options I'm conceptualizing, it seems like the best.
Yeah, so I like this option. If this option were really an option, I would advocate for this option, but I do have some moral qualms with it, although I think that I could overcome them given compared to what we currently do. I think it's better, but I still have a couple of issues, at least that spring to mind. So the first is that justice. There are two components to it. There's there's ridding society of the offender. That's a pragmatic thing. We need to get rid of you because you're a murderer and we don't want society to be further harmed. But then there's also a punishment issue, right? Like justice is a punishment as well. Like you want to say you have done wrong and you deserve to be punished. And I share your same discomfort with giving the government that power, but retribution, I think there's some validity to retribution, in some form, right? And so this option, sending them through, look, imagine the first, we discovered the wormhole.
I'm interested in the idea of restorative justice.
Sure, yeah, sure. That's another thing though. But like, if someone does wrong knowingly, it would be great if they could be punished and then, rehabilitated, right? And then they regret doing wrong, but they've paid, they've done their time, right? They did the crime, they did the time. That's kind of what you want, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And so with this option, imagine the first murderer you send through the wormhole. He's going to be sent off to some other habitable planet, that he can, he's totally free now. He can do whatever he wants. He can start his own country or his own whatever, and it's almost not punishment enough. Like, in fact, you could get your way to thinking like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. There's a lot of problems on Earth. There are established structures that are oppressing me or holding me down, or I can't get a job in this country or whatever, and here's the opportunity to go to a brand new planet. Like, that almost starts to sound tempting, right, from a certain perspective, especially if you hate current society.
You could have people who are on the verge kill their bosses and just go do that. You could really endanger our current society by offering that sort of fresh start. You're right.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's true as well. I mean, my qualm, and I admit it's minor, is just that imagine that some guy kills your parents or something horrible, right? And would you be satisfied with sending him through the wormhole to just go live another life somewhere else?
No, yeah, I mean, justice does have a punitive component, and even the idea of restorative justice, which is like, all right, society has suffered an ill, how do we get it back on track? So then you talk in real terms, like you said, someone's murdered someone you love. Well, in order to get back on track, you need a sense that that is not just going to be, we're not going to look the other way. Like, something also has to be taken from them, or so they have to pay a price. Like, you have to have that in order for everyone to move on. Like, right. In order to restore things, a daggum punishment's got to be handed out. To fit the crime. So
my other moral qualm with this is also small, but you almost got there. But potentially, imagine we send through thousands of murderers to this place. Inevitably, a possibility is that the biggest, baddest murderer on the other side is going to start the biggest, baddest, murderistan. They're going to start their country of, and they're going to be the head honcho, and they're going to rule with an iron fist and probably not be the most friendly character. And you could envision the other side of this wormhole quickly becoming extremely dystopian. And so then, you would be sending other prisoners through to this hellscape. And, we have, we have laws about cruel and unusual punishment. And you could make an argument that eventually sending them through the wormhole could be cruel and unusual punishment. I know I made two totally opposing moral arguments, in that I'm making the argument that we could be sending them through to paradise, or we could be sending them through to a hellscape. Both of them would have, I would have some moral issue with, and either of those could be the case. But I admit those are pretty small gripes, and I think that the benefit of just getting them out of society without having to kill them, I think that eases my mind enough. I would be willing to put up with my small moral gripes compared to the status quo anyway.
Agreed, because number one is, again, society's been wronged and we need to make sure the immediate society is okay, so we can't keep a murderer in it, so we've removed the murderer. And then number two, and this is still a big number two, is like, is it ethical to kill a person? Well, no. And is it ethical to just, is it cruel and unusual to just keep someone in a box or whatever? Like, yeah, I think it could be considered. I think a very good case can be made that that's cruel and unusual, or like we become accustomed to it. They're like, oh, you're using these weird terms. You just mean put them in jail, put them in prison. But I do mean, like, you were just saying, stay put forever, and that's odd. That is odd. And so, your solution, your sci-fi solution, like, actually takes my number one and number two issues when it comes to a major crime, and like satisfies them, and then has some, bad things, like you said. Like, it's not perfect, but I don't even if I'm allowed to conjure up sci-fi scenarios, it's hard to come up with a much better one, because at least you're sort of letting reality, you're letting like things play their course, and like there is a cosmic justice to it, right? Like,
right, whatever goes wrong is, it goes wrong of their doing. It doesn't go wrong because of what we did.
You've declared, by committing your crime, you've declared yourself like of these people, so go deal with the consequences of being of these people.
Harsh,
I mean,
but less
that's better
harsh
than killing or putting them in a cage. Like, okay.
Prisoners in cages. Oh, how horrible.
But I think I just put it succinctly. If we, and I think that's the compelling case. All right, we're saying they're guilty. Like, that's not in dispute. Like, it's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So you have declared yourself of these people. So now you must be of these people. And like, okay, that seems just to me.
Yep. All right. Another. I've got a few more, and then I think we'll be at about wrap up time. So, all right. So you touched on this earlier as well. So given this other planet wormhole, should we just give this as an option to all criminal punishment? Like, if you get pulled in front of court, you can plea, guilty or whatever. Your lawyer can just say, okay, we want the portal. Like, we'll take the portal option. And, it doesn't matter what your crime is. If you murdered someone, maybe we say it's the portal for you. But maybe if you broke into someone's home and stole their TV, you have the option to say, I don't want to serve 2 years in prison and pay a fine or whatever. I want the portal. Should we offer that option to any criminal?
Wow. Well, at first I want to say absolutely not. We need to really reserve this for the worst of crimes. But because I think the reason being is, I think we want to say, we don't want to communicate the message. We don't want to give an option out of our society. We actually don't want that to be seen as sort of a pathway. Like, we want to say, we're a society who wants to cultivate members who are healthy and thriving. We want you, even if you mess up, you're going to have to pay some cost, but we want to rehabilitate you and get you in. And so if we were to offer that option, we're just kind of saying, like, we're just sort of making this open pathway toward something very different, and saying, you're always welcome to leave. Doors open. Like, get out of here if you want. But there's something neat about the autonomy of, like, you've committed a crime, select your option. You can go through our traditional system, or you can, like, do this unorthodox, like, crazy thing. And so I don't actually see a moral objection to allowing anyone to opt in. There's no moral objection on my end, but if I'm running things, I'm just really, I'm really hesitant for that, because and I'd like to think that the individual, for the most part, isn't going to be like, all right, I did a breaking and entering when I was 16 and screw it, give me the portal. I'm hoping, like, lawyers and things would advise against it. But, So I don't have a moral objection to it, but I think as a rule, it'd be a good idea to reserve it for only those who've so royally screwed up. And so that way you're not starting to frame it as, it's not so bad. It could get that reputation. And then don't we want the reputation to be like, don't do this? Actually, are we concerned with the reputation? How offenders view the portal? How much are we concerned about that?
So I think that you bring up a good point that, if we advertise the portal as an option, then, maybe for whatever reason people want an out, and so they commit a crime so that they can get the portal, and that's not good. We don't want any incentive for crime.
Yeah.
So maybe we keep the portal a secret, and it's only at sentencing time. I don't know that.
I like that sort of.
You would have a hard time because someone they rob a store, and then they go to court, and you say, okay, now you've never heard about this, and we don't tell anyone about this, and this is super secret. So do you want 2 years of jail or this mysterious portal? And they'll be like, what? And then
it remains a secret.
And then if they choose 2 years in jail, like obviously they're going to be talking about the portal. So you're not going to keep it hush hush. So,
well, I don't know. Have you ever, done a crime deserving of 2 years in jail?
No, I haven't.
Maybe they do offer the portal. Maybe it is unlocked now.
It might be real. It might be real. Actually, I have a confession to make. I committed a crime and was just charged, and they told me about this, so I brought it to the podcast for my last one. I'm not actually.
You were moving.
I'm moving to jail. Directly to jail. I'm not passing go. I'm not collecting $200. Yeah. So.
Wow.
So I think. I don't have as much of an issue with this. I think that if you are a criminal and you commit a crime, yeah, sure, maybe you have. If you steal something from the grocery store or some petty crime or something, you're probably very capable of being redeemed, and you're not a permanent stain on society. Maybe you made a mistake. I don't like the mistake, and you should be punished for the mistake. But at the same time, you did make a mistake, and if you want, you're a free human being capable of making your own decisions. If you want to walk through the portal and go to this other place where we've been sending all of our murderers and other reprobates, then all right, go for it, man. But we got plenty of people, an abundance of people, and if if you want to go through the portal, then that's one less, grocery stealer. Even though that's minor. Still, that's one less. It's one less. We can make a special case for cyclists, and we can just send them through. Anyway, even without a crime.
But let me offer you a real world analogy.
Okay.
A kid cheats on a test, and that's usually going to be.
That's not a criminal act, though. Oh,
I know.
Analogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an analogy.
Sorry.
So they.
Just don't send me through the portal. Sorry, I made a mistake about the analogy. Don't send me through the portal, please.
We reserve suspensions for serious offenses like fighting, or maybe a third or fourth cheating, or second or cheating. I don't know, but not just your first time, a little bit of plagiarism, whatever. Usually we get a 0 on the assessment, and maybe go through some honored council things. But what if they just were allowed to choose suspension? Is there something? I guess there's nothing morally objectionable about that. But here's the thing about suspension: depending on the parent, it can be enjoyable, or time off from school. And if kids were starting to go, I'll take time off from school, screw it, and not. It would be oh, we've created a problem here. There's something wrong that we're having kids just kind of choose suspension as their punishment, and I feel I'm in a weird place. Is that analogous to this? Where they're we've got people choosing this. We didn't really ever want that to be the case. So
that's a good point, and that's a really good analogy. But what I would say, and the reason why I would say it's not a perfect analogy, you didn't claim it was, but a suspension. You return from. You're not permanently suspended. You're going to continue to be the school's problem, so to speak, even after the suspension. But with the wormhole, you cease to be a problem. You go through the wormhole, you're not our problem anymore. You're not coming back. We can just brush our hands, and you're not a potential benefit for us either, but you're not a problem for us. You made your decision to go through. I see your point about maybe not letting the criminal choose their punishment because it might not be a punishment for them. But I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe. So what? All right. Let me use another educational analogy. Um, one of the big problems with education is that we have people in schools who don't want to be in schools. We have students who don't want to learn. We're forcing them to come, and we're forcing them to learn. So if you make a societal analogy, wouldn't it be best if we had only people in society who wanted to participate and be in society? And if you want to leave, leave. If you want to break the rules and whatever, and we give you the option to say, all right, well, if you don't like living in this society, just go, just get out. Then, and they go and get out. Then isn't that better for society?
This is where I feel it's complicated, because I do agree, like, if you don't want to be a part of society, then then it'd be great for you to get out. In the same way, if you don't want to be part of a school culture, then you probably shouldn't go to that school, particularly if it's an independent school in which you're, going to participate in, by choice, theoretically. So, like, all of that's great. However, the messaging of a school and a society should be, we appreciate you and we want you here. And just because someone gets kind of whiny or, like, messes up in small terms, which is what we're saying, they've committed a criminal act, which is bad, but, like small potatoes, like, not murder. I'm worried about cultural it's a weird point I'm making. I'm just making a point that, like, although I agree, I want that option possibly available and I don't have a moral objection, I think societal messaging is super important, and the societal messaging should be like, this is a good place and we want you here. Like, imagine like a town that's trying to attract people. We've even conceptualized this before. Like, if every city got to have their own rule, like, states' rights basically turned even stronger to local areas, and you're advertising your town, you wouldn't say, if you don't want to be here, get out, kind of thing. You would say, we want you here. We're a lovely town. These are our values. Please come and stay, and please adapt to our values. And so I'm worried about this, just like the messaging.
I don't. No, I don't agree with this. I don't think that is the message of society, nor do I think it should be the message of society. Like, our message should not be, we want you, you're amazing, come and stay. It should be, here's our society, and you can, be here and do what you want within these bounds that we all agree upon together. And if you step outside these bounds, then you're going to face an appropriate punishment. And bonus, mind your morals. Like, now you stepped outside the bounds and you're going to get this punishment. Or if you're not happy about the situation and you're deciding now in your criminal state that you want to leave, then there's the door, there's the portal door, you can go. Like, that doesn't, like, I don't think at that point we have any obligation or should say, oh, we want you here though. Like, we don't. Like, if you want to stay, then serve your sentence and we'll welcome you back in society and whatever. But if you want to go, there it is.
Man, I'm glad you said that. It kind of balances me. Like, it's weird though, like the dichotomy we're presenting is like two societies. One that's like the messaging is, hey, these are the rules, behave, and that's the one you're presenting, and then the one I'm presenting, it sounds almost silly, and I'm not trying to sound soft, but it's like, hey, we're lovely, we like what we got going on, and we want you to want to be part of this like lovely thing we've got going on. And I'm not surprised we both kind of feel those on those sides of things. And I think reality is that I'm thinking small, and like when you're thinking small, like about a town, and you're like trying to have a lovely town, obviously you're going to try and make good restaurants and things to do and whatever it is that makes a town, and you want to be welcoming. But really, you're right, like society from a structural level, like it's not about messaging. It is about messaging, but it's just about like, here's the structure, and you need to behave within this structure. It's not the job to start like advertising or presenting a certain way, because everyone teach their own. There are going to be people that want to just be left alone. There are going to be people that want to like build intimate communities and all of that. So like the structure has nothing to do with that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly my point. And there's no reason, like, I agree with, like, I don't think it's soft to say, to have pride in your society, to have pride in your town or state or country or whatever, and say, look, we like our values and we like who we are, and I want you to be able to enjoy life in the same way that I do. Like, that's an okay attitude, but I also don't see why it's not also okay to say, oh wait, you don't like our society, you broke our rules, and now if you serve your time or pay the fine or punishment or whatever, then we'll welcome you back and don't make the mistake again. Or if you're not so happy with that arrangement, then there's the portal. Go to the other planet with the murderer headquarters now, Murderistan, like, if you want. Or maybe it's paradise, I don't know, but you're not our problem anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think, like, I just don't object morally. I don't think the messaging's that important, and I think it's kind of a moot point. I don't think people are gonna commit smaller crimes and then opt for the portal. I think it's just the risk is too great, and some might, and if they're big enough idiot or the choose, like, whatever, it's their choice. So it's not right. I don't feel strongly about it. So yeah, let them choose, man. Let them choose.
All right, I had a couple more, but I don't think they're that interesting. I just thought of one, unless you want to hear them. But I just thought of one more that I want to tack on.
Why don't you just throw those two out there, and then I won't even respond to them just so I can hear them, and then I want to hear the one we'll engage with too.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, so you can. I'll present you three, and we can address one of them or more if you really want to. So, what if going through the wormhole causes the development of a slowly advancing terminal cancer that will be fatal in 22 years? 22 years is the average length of time between sentencing and execution in the United States in 2019.
Oh, interesting.
So there's that one.
Yeah.
And then what if, as soon as you send the criminal through the wormhole, a version of the this is assuming it's a murderer, a version of the victim from a parallel universe where the crime never occurred comes back through the wormhole. So you send the criminal through and you get back the person who was killed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one, the one that I just thought of, is what if, in addition to the wormhole, we also got a telescope aimed at the distant planet, and the telescope is super powerful. Whatever. It lets us examine the state of that planet out there, and see what's going on the planet. And would that change anything?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I mean, the other two are more thoughtful and creative, but that last one is more interesting in terms of morality now that we have more information about that place, because we might shut down the portal and we might keep it open, or people might clamor to get in there or not, like, and so it would have a big influence on the decisions, both from the criminal perspective and the justice system, and so yeah, it's just kind of an interesting, like, that would mean we'd get more information, and then we could do things with that information. I guess maybe I don't have much more to say than that.
Yeah, you're right. It just occurred to me, so I didn't consider whether there would be a whole lot of interesting stuff. It occurs to me now that if this situation really happened, then there's no way we would use it for sending prisoners through or criminals through, right? Like, if we discovered a one-way wormhole to another habitable planet,
that'd be the last thing we'd do.
Like, we definitely wouldn't.
But it would say, "Everyone, slow down!" Everyone's trying to build a cool society, and they're arguing about religion and stuff. You're like, slow down. Maybe we should just put criminals there.
Maybe we should just send our criminals through. No, we would certainly be sending explorers and pioneers and stuff through. And yeah, it's one way, but like, it would be a colony, right? It would be another colony. It wouldn't be a prison planet.
Yeah. Here's the cynic in me too. Like the very initial, everyone would be so excited, and you're going to have this utopia, right? And like, we can be free from all the historical mistakes we've made with war and famine and and poverty, like, whatever. Like, we can have this awesome, and then how quickly I think we would just repeat,
screw it up. Yeah, we would definitely screw it
how
up.
How quickly we would go in there and make it political, and like, and sort of like religious warfare and political warfare. Just warfare would quickly, in fact, it would just make war happen quickly with all our tech. So we'd have this new world, a new frontier, and we go in and make all our tech, and we just go to war even faster because of all
Well,
the tech.
so
That's what I think would happen. It would disappoint us quickly.
So in the situation I present, so I wonder what would happen, and maybe it's a sci-fi story idea, but so the United States discovers the portal, and so we're the only ones with the portal. So essentially, this other planet is United States. It's another state, but it's a one-way portal. You can't get any information back. So once you go through the portal, you're there. So there's no communication back with us. So it's a total splinter society that goes through. And assuming that it's United States Americans, it's Americans who go through, I imagine their system of government that they set up is going to be, well, it's probably going to be our, U.S. Constitution-based system. I mean, depending on who it is that goes through, you could have some interesting political situations, like if it's one of them, one of the political parties, then they go through and they set up their utopia and it crashes and burns, and then the other one sets up theirs and it crashes and burns. But like, I don't know. I wonder how quickly things would go to war. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's just Americans, and so culturally, even though there's division politically, no doubt, I mean, like, it's really bad. It's not like just sending the whole world in there immediately. So we already live together in reasonable peace, I mean, obviously there's unrest and all that, but like, we're not literally at war. All that that's all hyperbole. Like, we're peaceful within our.
I have to admit that, like, I am extremely drawn to this situation. Like, if we discovered a portal to a whole other planet, like, because I've confessed this to you before, and I think you laughed at me, but like the pioneer story, like, that's just so amazing to me. Like, how awesome would it have been to be an American pioneer traveling west or something, and like discovering the Grand Canyon and
I doubt
all of this amazing really stuff. Like, that would be awesome. And so this is like super pioneer, right? Like, you get to go through to another planet. I mean, the downside is it's totally one way, but still, what an adventure. That's amazing. And the chance to fix mistakes that maybe we've made governmentally or society. I mean, there are risks in that. You think it's a mistake and then you try to fix it and it all goes wrong, but still, it's still a chance to wipe the slate clean and go back to basics maybe and try again.
I mean, there is no society currently that's like, you already have age-old infrastructure, whether it's just internet or bridges and stuff. But like, if you had the means to start building an infrastructure with the knowledge we currently have, because so many of the decisions we make are kind of patchwork, like, we can't redesign all these roads or this city, so we're just going to make little improvements, but we all also know that it could have been built this way and it would have been better. We can actually just do the better way.
Right. Well, think about it historically. When the settlers came to America, to North America and South America too, like, they had the benefit of all prior European culture and technology and everything, and they used it, and that's why America, the United States in particular, like, rocketed to preeminence. It had tons of natural resources and tons of land, and it had the benefit of the revolution and setting up a different form of government, but it also, like, it had the benefit of all of the technology from Europe. And so imagine now we go through the wormhole, we have all the benefit of all of our modern technology and everything that we could rely on and start fresh. We could, like you say, we could plan the cities, and we would know already some of the environmental consequences of some of our actions and stuff. So, like, there'd just be a lot of opportunity.
It's thrilling to think about,
Yeah. Or we could just send the prisoners through, whatever.
It is
either
funny
way,
that,
Either way, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I didn't expect the Mind Your Morals to go so long, but
to be the
I think
whole
it was,
episode.
I think it was good. Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, I really feel I mound it. I minded the morals.
You
like
mound. Past tense of mind.
Yeah.
I mound
the morals.
Get off your moral mound. That's a saying, right?
Yeah. My high mound. Yeah. No, I feel moral now. I've sharpened it.
All right. Well,
All right, man.
That's what I aim to do. All right.
Okay.
Well, then our next episode will be in my new abode, assuming I survive. I might not.
Yeah, we'll still be in the same third space, but different
real first and second space.
spaces.
Yeah,
one of the
them.
spaces. I think I got first.
The first. Me. First.
The Daniel and Bennett show.
No, the Bennett and Daniel show.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.
Bennett.
Bennett. In the end.